Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Steelers host 1,295-yard wide receiver for pre-draft visit. With less than a month until this year's NFL draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers still haven't addressed their major need for a WR2. As they look to figure out who will take over that role in 2024, the team has been active looking at options at the position. That includes showing some interest in a variety of draft prospects at the position. That includes Western Kentucky wide receiver Malachi Corley. He is hosting the prolific former Hilltopper for a visit. Corley shared a picture to his Instagram story, via Steelers Depot, showing that he had arrived in Pittsburgh for a pre-draft visit. Corley didn't do much as a freshman at Western Kentucky after transitioning from corner to receiver, but ended up in one of college football's most impressive passing games as a sophomore. In 2021, Hilltopper's QB Bailey Zapp broke the college football records for passing yards and passing touchdowns. Corley was only the fourth option at wide receiver that season, but still ended up with 73 catches for 691 yards and 7 touchdowns. He followed that up with a monster junior year for the Hilltoppers. In his third season at Western Kentucky, Corley became the favorite target for new quarterback Austin Reed. In 2022, he racked up 101 catches for 1,295 yards and 11 touchdowns. His 2023 season saw his numbers dip a bit, but he still put together another solid year. He made 79 catches for 984 yards and 11 touchdowns in his final season with the Hilltoppers. That put him just under 3,000 receiving yards over the course of his last 3 college seasons. Corley didn't get the chance to participate in the NFL Combine, but still showed off impressive athleticism at his pro day. He showed off impressive speed, running the 40-yard dash in the mid-4.4s. That athleticism and college production combined with what should be a pretty reasonable draft price could make him a perfect fit for the Steelers if they haven't addressed their wide receiver need by the time the draft begins. The Steelers have needed a new WR2 since they traded Deontay Johnson in the middle of March. So far, it's something they haven't addressed, and their options at the position are dwindling the further into the offseason they get. That could leave them looking for a wide receiver in the draft, but the team also has other needs that are arguably more urgent at center and offensive tackle. Those needs should prevent the Steelers from drafting bigger names like Ladd McConkey or Brian Thomas Jr. with their first-round pick, and could even keep them away from second-round prospects. If the Steelers decide to prioritize the offensive line or any other spot on the roster over wide receiver, then Corley could be a great fit for them. He should still be there for the Steelers in round 3, and he could fill a role similar to the one Johnson played for them before the trade. According to PFF, Johnson had an average depth of target at less than 10 yards in 3 of 5 seasons with the Steelers. At Western Kentucky, Corley was also a big threat on short throws, using his speed and powerful frame to rack up yards after the catch. If the Steelers are going to try and find their next WR2 in the draft, taking Corley in round 3 after they've addressed other needs could be one of their best options. Former Steelers CB reveals Tomlin's pro day dinner with 3 Alabama stars. The Pittsburgh Steelers draft needs have changed throughout this offseason, but it seems they could still be interested in some players they were linked to early in the pre-draft process. Just about every cornerback with a first-round projection was seen as a possibility for the Steelers before free agency. Since then, they've made some moves at the position, but it seems they may have some interest in 2 of the top prospects at the position. During the April 1st episode of the Believe in Steelers podcast, former Steelers corner Aiyuk Taylor revealed that the night before Alabama's pro day, the Steelers had a dinner that was attended by Mike Tomlin and included Alabama stars Terrion Arnold, Kool-Aid McKinstry, and Dallas Turner. Well, the night before that was my best moment. So we wound up doing dinner. Was doing dinner with Terrion, Dallas, and Kool-Aid, a couple other teammates. So we was doing dinner with Coach T, and Coach T was just holding court. Over the course of Nick Saban's tenure as Alabama head coach, the Crimson Tide regularly found themselves among college football's best defenses. McKinstry, Arnold, and Turner made sure to keep them in that group over the 2 years they played together. In 2022, the Tide finished the year allowing the 9th least points in the country with only 18.2 allowed per game. The 2023 season saw them drop to 16th in that category while still impressively only allowing 19 points per game. That was due in large part to the contributions from these three. Turner set career highs with 14.5 tackles for a loss and 10 sacks to help make up for the departure of Will Anderson Jr. Arnold set career bests of his own with 64 total tackles, 12 passes defended, and 5 interceptions. McKinstry didn't post gaudy numbers in 2023, but he was a nightmare for opposing QBs in coverage. He held opposing quarterback to a 48.7% completion percentage in 2023 while defending 7 passes. Together, they'll make up the next crop of first-round picks for Alabama, and there's a chance that the Steelers could end up being the team that takes one of them. Even after all of the moves the Steelers have made this offseason, they still have some clear needs for their roster. Turner doesn't really fit with those needs. He was an outstanding edge rusher in college who would be an asset to just about any pass rush in the NFL. The Steelers just don't really need that with T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith already on the roster. He is also very unlikely to drop all the way to pick 20. Either of the other two would be a much better fit for the Steelers. The Steelers set themselves up nicely at one cornerback spot in last year's draft. They started the second round by selecting Joey Porter Jr., and that pick looks like it is going to pay off in a big way. Their other corner spot isn't set up quite as well. This offseason, they traded for Dante Jackson, but he isn't exactly a huge upgrade over what they got from Patrick Peterson in 2023. He is also only under contract for the 2024 season. That could leave corner as a position the Steelers are looking at in round 1. Corners were popular picks for the Steelers in mock drafts early in the offseason, and adding Jackson, no matter how expensive he is, doesn't necessarily need to change that. If there isn't a tackle or a center still available that they want after the first 19 picks, then there are worse things the Steelers could do than try to pair Porter Jr. with another talented young corner. For potential landing spots for 49ers WR Brandon Aiyuk. Brandon Aiyuk has become one of the San Francisco 49ers' most important weapons over the past couple of years. A former first-round pick, he finished last season 7th in the NFL in receiving yards, 1,342, as the number 2 wide receiver on the 49ers depth chart behind Deebo Samuel. Heading into his 5th NFL season, however, Aiyuk could either be playing for San Francisco with no contract extension or for another team. He's an unrestricted free agent after this season. Per The Athletic, San Francisco GM John Lynch wants to keep Aiyuk. There are a number of different directions it can go, Lynch told The Athletic. But we appreciate the heck out of Brandon and who he is as a player. We want him to be a part of the Niners, so we're going to work towards making that a reality. That sounds reassuring for most 49ers fans on the surface. However, defensive tackle DeForest Buckner was also looking for an extension from San Francisco following the 2019 season, and the team traded him to Indianapolis. So, even though Aiyuk is coming off a season in which he was named second-team All-Pro, his return to the Bay Area is far from guaranteed. If the former Arizona State standout is made available by the Niners, a handful of teams should be in the mix for his services. And you, fan, what do you think of the situation of Brandon Aiyuk? Leave your opinion in the comments.